Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. I'm back with one of these critique videos for you. So essentially it's an informal analysis. I'll be watching the video and pausing it, commenting on what's going on. So if you just want to watch the original or you prefer to watch someone who doesn't really react or comment to it, this probably isn't for you. If you maybe want to learn something or get some insight along the way, then stick around. You can find more of these types of videos in the playlist with a little eye up there. If you like it, let me know with a like and a comment. Feel free to do the subscribe and enable the notifications thing. I'm sure you know the drill. If you don't like it, feel free to hit dislike. If you can articulate as to what you don't like, then I can take it on board. I can maybe try and do something about it. This one was a request which I'm more than open to, so fire them down in the comments if you've got any. As you probably already deduced, the band in question is Band-Maid. Now I've got very vague memories of seeing clips of them on Instagram, but for some reason intrinsically in my head they're linked with baby metal. I don't know why that is. Maybe I just stumbled across them the same sort of time, or someone showed me them on their phone back to back or something like that. This is Domination, which I'm assuming is going to be a Pantera cover, but let's dive into it and find out. Okay, I really quite like this. The lasers they just look really cool. There's a slightly industrial kind of dancey vibe, which I really like. I quite like that kind of thing when you're mixing kind of, I don't want to call it like straight up industrial metal, but slightly more maybe like Prodigy or something like that, mixing kind of heavier kind of rock stuff with a dance as well. This is a really cool guitar line over the top. The guitar tone by itself, the rhythm one sounded a wee bit fuzzy, but in the context of everything, it just sounds killer. So two things spring to mind. First of all, this is quite clearly not a Pantera cover. this is an original, so I was way off the mark on that one. This is a ridiculously tight, polished band. Like nothing is sounding out of place here. The harmonies and stuff are being hit spot on. Everything sounds like it's really in the pocket. So thoroughly impressed so far. There's clear stylization where they're all kind of dressed up a bit like maids as well. I'm guessing they're maybe a Japanese band because that's the sort of thing they do within the 90s. Was it called Visual Kei or Visual Kai? Visual Kei? Like X Japan, where they essentially looked like a RPG, video game characters, but in real life. So this is, I'm guessing it's in that kind of vein of, what do you call it? I don't know if it's necessarily showmanship, but presenting a much more, a polished package, I suppose. There's a lot going on here. It's difficult to decide what to talk about. It's a really tight band. They're really well put together. Her vocals are great. She's got this really nice clarity to it and a good bit of rasp. You could hear there when she's doing the kind of shouty things. Is putting a bit of vocal fry on it. It's just really nice when a singer can kind of bounce between these two aesthetics and suit the needs of the song. Unexpected bit of shred solo. I'm not going to say no to that. Brilliant. The other things that had popped into my head before is that there's that really cool call and response bit in the chorus where it's like building up to it and then the audience are shouting in. Just thought that was fantastic. It's not just that harmony there was really tight, it's that they're blending really well. So blending is where you basically get two vocalists to sound quite similar. So boy bands, whether they like them or loathe them, they're generally quite good at blending. A lot of the time they'll have, I don't want to say indistinctive voices, but somewhat soft so they can blend in quite easily. So essentially the more distinctive a voice someone has, it's sometimes harder for them to harmonize in this kind of really coherent way. If you take a band like the Proclaimers, because they're brothers, or the McGarrigle sisters, basically if people are related and they speak similar and they kind of sing in the same way, you can get this really kind of I don't want to say saccharine, but really kind of tight harmonies where it almost sounds like it's the same person, but it's a different enough texture that it doesn't sound too samey. And this is blending something you have to learn, and with people in your band, learn how their accent works, how they kind of phrase certain words, and they're just nailing it here. This is quite technically demanding music to play as well. It's like that kind of epic anime way. It's like something you might hear in like My Hero Academia or something like that. That was a tight bass tone there. That's amazing. What I like is that the kind of dressing up thing, for lack of a better phrase, isn't like a gimmick. There's like some serious high quality musicianship to back it up as well. Just awesome. What I really like as well is that the vocal melodies are captivating enough that I don't care. I don't have a clue what she's saying. It's just really nice to listen to. It's a sign of like kind of cool songwriting where you're captivated enough with how they're singing it rather than what they're singing. It's really great. That's a great chorus. Like, it's brilliant. No words for it. That was awesome. I was expecting it to be a lot more gimmicky. I definitely heard that they were like good musicians, but a lot of the time these things get a bit blown out of proportion. I was not expecting something as high polished and just kick ass as that. Let me know what other songs of theirs I should check out, because I thoroughly enjoyed that when I find out about their back catalogue. Alright, Right, what I want to do here is break down what's happening in the intro in terms of how the two guitars work together. As a side note, I am in standard tuning. I think the original's in E flat, just to clear that up. But what it sounds like is happening to me is one guitar, the rhythm's kind of chugging on the low E, the open E, then doing these octave slides. So you got 5 on the low E, 7 up on the D, and you're just sliding that up a tone. You get chug, chug, octave slide. Get that 3 times. Then you got this, again I think it's just octaves on D, so you got a D here, 5th fret on the A, and again with the 7th fret on the G. You got the chug chug slide, 3 times, 3 strums on that. Play that a total of 3 times, and then on the 4th time you're chugging on an A for a bar, and then it has like a, so you're going up to the blues note here. It's this really kind of cool edgy dissonance. Do it a bit slower. I might have the rhythms wrong, I'm just going by what I could hear of the live version, so if you know it any better than me, then do correct me in the comments. What the lead guitar is doing, I opted to go on my neck pickup here, and I also stuck on a fair amount of delay, so if I just play that note by itself, you can hear there's quite a lot going on, and that gives it a kind of a slightly more synthetic, kind of synthy, ethereal sound. What you're doing is trem picking, so you're picking very quickly like this on one string. I've covered this before, if I've got any cards left I'll stick one up there. And the melody it does, now remember I'm in standard tuning, the original is in E flat, but you're going from here, the 15th fret, down to the 14th, down to the 10th, then down to the 7th. The trem picking all those. And you want to get that slide between them where you can as well. So rather than it being a kind of stopping between the notes, you want this slide if you can get it. Then you're all the way back up to the 15th fret again, down to the 14th, and a cool bit here, we go to the A, this note here is an A, as the rhythm part's chugging on that A, and when it goes up to that kind of bluesy note but playing a power chord over it, we start to bend this up to there as well, while it's still trem picking. Then you kind of want to end up at full pitch on the B, I think. It's difficult to try and pick things at a slower speed, but I will try here. I'll just pick a bit slower and hopefully it'll sound close enough. So what you might notice there is a side note more than anything else, but when I was sliding I had this finger just kind of here, and all this is doing, this is a trick I picked up from Steve 5 years ago, it's muting out these strings. There's a risk that I might hit an open string, or it might ring out in sympathetic vibration with a harmonic. If this finger's here, these strings aren't ringing out, even if I rake through them. They're not doing anything. Whether you do that kind of thing or not is up to you, but I like to just mute as much as possible. So in terms of music theory, if we break it down, we're playing over an E riff, so it's a wee bit harder to analyse the intricacies of it. But essentially we've got a minor 1 to a minor 4 to a 5. It's really quick in passing though, it's more of a riff as I say though. And then the D here would be your flat 7. Cool thing happens on the 4th time round where we go to the A, so that'd be our 4 chord, and then rather than going up to the B, we just go up a semitone. So what this is doing is hitting at the blues scale. Now this is a note that you get in quite a lot of electronic, like kind of drum and bass and jungle and garage music as well. You know, they might have something like, and if I put some ridiculous effects on top of my guitar to make it sound a bit more like a synth, hopefully it'll drive this point home a bit more. And you could use this kind of thing as a lead line as well, so let's go on my bridge pickup and I'll roll my tone off completely, which is get an interesting sound. So there's this really cool mixture you can get between like rock and kind of more dancey stuff. The Prodigy, I think I referenced them before, being a great example of this kind of thing. And if we look at the notes, the lead's playing, it's a bit tricky to think about the two parts together, but essentially this is an E minor, the rhythm. Right, so if we think about it that way, we've got the flat third, going down to the second, going down to the flat seventh, and then we're going down to a slightly more interesting note again, the fourth. So none of these sound too content. The third, the ones that starts off as a nice kind of chord tone. Second's a wee bit tense but floaty, as is the flat seventh, as is the fourth. So they're all going to kind of add to this ethereal, slightly uneasy vibe. On the repeat, you've got a similar thing. You're starting off with the flat third, down to the second, up to an A. Now because we switched to an A chord, this has become the root, and we bend that up to the blues note, which we're kind of playing this awesome blues power chord type thing. Then, as I say, after that I think it resolves up to B when it goes into the verse. Check out that playlist for more of these informal analysis videos. Hit subscribe and enable all notifications if you want to keep up to date with the channel, but take it easy guys, have a good one.